Hello, everybody. I am Shikha Singh, and you are listening to another episode of the Itch and Scratch Show by Shikha Podcast. And this is another episode in the Science of Getting Rich series. Today, our guest was an incredible coach. I learned so much after talking to him, and I bet you will start changing your mindset and the way you think after listening to this episode. Yes, I am talking a lot about this episode, but trust me, you'll see. He gives you a wake up call in this episode. And the amount of inspiration that is packed into this episode is just incredible. I was highly and deeply motivated, and I hope you guys will too. So I'm not going to waste a minute more, and I will introduce you to the guest of our show, Matt Poechman. Matt Poechman is a real estate investor from Toronto, Ontario, here in Canada, and also a mindset coach. You know what? The best thing is he has invested in so many properties in both the US and Canada that now his dreams are next level. You wouldn't even imagine. I asked him that exact same question and he just casually said, I don't know what it's going to be next. But when he said the numbers, my mind was definitely blown. And I'm pretty sure yours will be too. Matt Peckman was in law enforcement for at least 17 years with brutal shift timings where he wouldn't get time to spend with his family. He was living paycheck to paycheck. And then finally, when he was 39 years old, he decided this is it. He was tired of being tired and he started investing in his own education. He realized that if things had to change and if he wanted a certain kind of a lifestyle for him and his family, then he has to start doing something. He invested a lot of money into learning real estate and upping his skills in that area. He's owned a lot of properties without his own money. And that to me is just incredible. Not just that, he is also a cast of The Science of Getting Rich, and you will know why he was chosen because his tips are actionable. And if he could get out of his day to day job and become successful, then I think you and I can also do that. So let's not waste time and let's get started. So there you go, everybody. We have with us Matt Peckman. Welcome, Matt, to our podcast. How are you?
Thank you, Shika. Yes, thank you. I'm doing amazing. Yeah, busy as ever. Life is ever changing here, and I'm just going with the flow. Yeah,
Awesome. Well, first of all, congratulations on being in the Science of Getting Rich documentary.
thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's kind of a surreal thing to say out loud, like I was in a movie. It still hasn't quite hit me yet. Yeah, it's very cool. Yeah, I feel very humbled to be in the film, especially alongside the greats in this movie. Right. So
So, okay, let's start with that then. How was your feeling, or how did you feel when you knew that you were selected to be a part of this movie?
oh wow. I mean, I felt kind of in disbelief. I felt like this was maybe not real. I was just in disbelief because it was actually my mentor who reached out and said, I have this connection and I'm doing this movie. And I told him about you and I think you should be in it. And I was like, what? I'm like, no way. And sure enough, I got a call from the director, and he like within an hour phone call, he's like, "Yeah, you need to fly to Calgary tomorrow morning and be in studio." I'm like, "Oh wow, okay." So I guess I'll book my ticket right now. So yeah, I mean, when I found out, it was very surreal because uh, I am not by any means as seasoned as some of the greats in this film. I am by every definition a novice in the mindset space. But this material has completely transformed and changed everything about me as a human and my entire life and my environment. So I'm very familiar with the material, and it's really shaped my entire life, my family's life. And I enjoy, as I'm now a coach, I really enjoy every day just pouring this material into other people's lives.
Nice. That is so sweet and lovely. Okay, so you say you're a mindset coach. I wanted to know what is that one thing that, after talking to so many people, coaching a lot of different types of people, what do you feel is that one thing that stops people from taking the next step?
Hmm. I think it's, well, for me, and I think for most people, it's limiting beliefs.
Mm.
And you could say it's fear, but the reason we have fear is because we listen to those limiting beliefs. And I'll give you a perfect example. If I told you right now, I want you to go and buy a 30 unit multifamily property, $2 million building in Texas, you would say, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't invest in real estate. I don't know how to do that. That's not, I don't have enough money for a down payment for 2 million. So like all these limiting beliefs are coming into your mind before we've even explored the actual fact that it's a possibility. And I find that most people who are foreign to personal development or for who start into just scratching the surface, that's a resounding, probably the number one thing that people are up against is their own limiting beliefs. And we have limiting beliefs about everything, right? About relationships, about money, about our finances, about what we can achieve in ourselves in our lifetime, about the jobs we can have, the houses we can attain, the type of lifestyles that we can live. Like most of us think, well, I could never do that, or I'm not smart enough to do that, or I could never have a job that pays $1 million a year. And like nothing. And when you learn this material, you realize that nothing, nothing, literally nothing is unattainable. There's no limit. So I would say with a resounding, like, it's limiting beliefs. Everything that we do in our lives is by the guidance of what we believe in, right?
Correct. Yeah, and I feel like some of that also depends on the background too. Like if you've come from a certain family or a mindset or some specific background, then obviously you're going to doubt yourself at each and every stage. So tell me, Matt, how can someone overcome those limiting beliefs and then get into the idea of the fact that there's abundance in the world?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's not just one thing. And I found out when I dove into the world of personal development, it's really truly a lot of different things. So it's not just, well, I'm going to overcome my limiting beliefs by doing affirmations, or I'm going to overcome my limiting beliefs by implementing a new habit,
Right.
or with this one thing, or meditating. It's never one thing. What I've found is if you are willing, and I think that's the one thing because that encompasses everything else. And for me, when I came to the point in my life where I said, I've been in my career for 17 years, I'm almost 40, and I'm paycheck to paycheck.
Right.
So I was done working my body to the bone, working overtime, and not getting ahead. And I was willing, right? I was willing to do whatever it took. And what that meant was I was willing to wake up early.
Right.
I was willing to dedicate 1 to 2 hours a day on this material with true intention and focus. I was willing to sacrifice, like, no more TV. I'm just going to consume material that helps me grow, and I'm going to learn. And I just dedicated every day. I'm not going to sit on the couch in the evenings. I'm going to read, right?
Right.
And on my drive to work, I'm going to listen to a podcast, or I'm going to listen to, a lesson on
Right.
something that's new, right? Or I'm going to do a gratitude meditation. So I implemented all these different little aspects of changing the way that I think so that I could change my habits, which then ultimately changed my results. But it's a multitude of things that we teach people that I learned that really shift that that part of you from, I have limited beliefs, I don't think it's possible that I could be a millionaire, I'm scared to invest, I'm scared to start a new business, I'm scared to write a book, I'm fearful, I'm doubt, I'm worry, I'm anxious. And to move out of that, there is no one solution, but the first step is being willing.
Perfect. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that is on point right there. And I feel like everybody has to frame that and then keep it in their bedroom or office or wherever that is. And that'd be helpful, at least for most of them. But
Mm-hmm.
going back to the first example that you gave me, how does one go about, even like you said, limiting beliefs, so nobody even thinks of buying a $2 million property in the middle of Texas? It
Yep.
is affordable, with obviously when you compare to the Canadian real estate prices, but how does even one start to think that big or dream that big, especially
Mm.
when you're in a 9 to 5 job?
That's a great question. And for me, it started with learning how to become a goal achiever. And I owe a lot of that to, I mean, the great of this film, Bob Proctor, the late Bob Proctor, whose material I studied for many, 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 many months, and going on years now, is that in order to achieve anything in life, you first must define it clearly and have a direction in order to which to go.
Right.
And most people, if you ask them, and this is something Bob says all the time, is in order to achieve something, you need a goal. So, do you have a goal? And most people would say they have a very hard time defining their goal.
Right.
And then they say, do you have it written down? Most people would say no. So, do you carry it in your pocket? Right? Do you carry it in your pocket on a goal card? Right?
Oh wow, look at that.
So, this is what I learned about becoming a goal achiever, is that if you write down your goals every single day, you will get clear on what it is that you want out of life, right? Truly, really clear. And eventually that list will narrow itself down to the things that give you purpose.
Mhm.
Because, a big house and a Ferrari and a yacht don't fill you up inside. It doesn't give you purpose, it doesn't give you fulfillment. And so when I have goals on my card, like donating $1 million to the Sick Kids Hospital where my son was born, um, that makes me feel really, really powerful. And it makes me feel really humble to give back to a hospital that was pivotal in my son's life. And so when you start to get really clear on the things in life that actually make you feel amazing inside, and it's not materialistic things, your goals will shift. And so becoming a goal achiever, I think, is probably the answer to your question, because most people don't have a direction in life. Most people are living by their limiting beliefs, like I need to work till I'm 65 and hopefully I'll have a pension, or hopefully by then I have enough to put away for retirement. And they just stay there. They never explore that there could be more out of life. They never explore that they may have more potential, that they could achieve more, do more, earn more, and then give more. And
Right.
so, like, the way I look at life now is, my purpose before was law enforcement, which I worked 17 years in law enforcement. And then I found after that, my purpose, I thought, was to be a great dad. But I found out that was quite a selfish goal, that just to feed the people that I chose to create. And so it's thinking bigger, that if I can create abundance in my life, how many other people's families could I feed?
Right.
How many other people's lives could I impact in a positive way by creating abundance? Right. And so my goal is to, like, create abundance and impact the lives of millions. My goal is to, while I have air in my lungs and while I'm alive, is to impact in a positive way as many people's lives as I possibly can. That's my goal. That's my purpose. And that's something I think most people, because they lack clarity on a goal, they'll never truly understand how the top successful people ever achieve anything.
Right.
Because you see a lot of times people will say, how do you stay motivated?
Yep.
And I'll say, I don't. And they'll say, well, you must get inspired by something. No inspiration. I don't have motivation. I don't have inspiration. And often I'm not very disciplined. But there's one thing I have. And I think it's the one thing that trumps those other three things. And it's that I have a true, deep emotional connection to my goal.
Right.
And when I wake up every single morning, I don't need to be motivated to get out of bed. I get out of bed because I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait to write down my goals and take inspired action and move toward my goals and achieve abundance and help other people and see the lives that I've impacted.
Right.
That gets me out of bed every day, right?
Nice.
So
Nice.
yeah, being a goal achiever was actually something I had to learn. And I mean, I've accomplished massive goals in my life, that so I thought, in my career, but I had to relearn at 39 years old how to actually truly set and achieve a goal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive. That is really impressive. And I think you're the first person to answer that question that way when you said you don't have any motivation, you don't get inspired by everything. I think that's the first time I've ever heard that. And you actually answered that because I usually ask all of my guests that question: how do you stay motivated to do all these things? But that's amazing. That's so cool. Matt, so tying this to the Science of Getting Rich movie,
Hmm.
you've already kind of answered it partially, but when you gave us the example of the mansion and the yacht and everything, what does being rich mean to you?
It's a great question. Well, I can tell you this, that answer, what it's meant for me, has changed dramatically over the last year and a half. I can tell you that because what I used to think was rich was very much materialistic. And what I think and what I feel richness is now is, by the definition that aligns with this book, which is extremely powerful in this movie, is that richness is all encompassing and it's everything in your life. So being rich means that you have a richness in all aspects: financially, spiritually, emotionally, relationally. Every aspect of your life is filled with abundance and richness, not riches, richness. And when you're filled with richness and abundance, you have a certain type of energy, you have a certain vibration, and it only attracts more of that exact like vibration. And it's funny, we've been taught in science that opposites attract, but actually that's not true. When it comes to energy, like energy attracts like energy. And so we all know this: when you're in a bad mood and you walk around and you bump into someone and then you say something nasty and then you're in an argument and could lead to something worse. It could lead to a physical altercation. Really and truly, what that is an example of negative energy attracting more negative energy. And so this is a result in life that's playing out for each of us in real time, whether we believe in it or not. And so when you understand these principles, then you really understand that it's truly a science. And I think that's why Wallace D. Wattles did such an amazing job. And I can't believe that this book is over 100 years old, which is
Right.
mind blowing that he was able to put down these principles in such, I would say, an artistic manner in the way that he's written this book. And I've read it and I've listened to it on Audible 100 times. But it's really powerful how he talks about our human ability to create anything by impressing our thought on the formless substance. So that's going to be a whole bunch of words mashed together if you haven't read the book. So I highly encourage anyone listening to, yeah, and it makes sense when you understand the principles of the book that we actually have the power to create anything. And that our thoughts are so incredibly powerful. And when you can harness your thought energy and the power of your thoughts, now we can get over those limiting beliefs. Now we can start creation. Now we can start creating abundance, right? And we can start building charities and donating and filling and enriching the lives of other people and sharing experiences and doing things to enrich the lives of others. And that's what I truly think is, when you're rich, it's not about you. And that's something that I learned through my own personal development, is when you let go of the self, I feel the richest I ever have, because now my richness overflows into the lives of others and I enrich the lives of others.
Wow. Interesting. Wow. That is something to think about because everybody just talks about a certain method to implement or a certain path to follow, but you're like, no, this is different. I like it. I
Mhm.
like it. I'm gonna start doing that more. But
Yeah.
okay, so Matt, tell me about when Doug spoke about you. He said he called you a real estate guru in his episode when I interviewed him. And so you tell me, for someone who's stuck in the 9 to 5 job, and again, some
Mhm.
people are fine with it, some may not be fine with it. How is it, or what's the one step that people can take, or our listeners or viewers can take to get to the next level? Because you are
Mhm.
a prime example of someone who's been there, done that, and then you
Mhm.
actually did what you said you wanted to do. So, how? What's the
How?
secret?
The secret is it begins with how we think. That's the secret. And I think for most people, and I'll dive into specifically, I have a very good answer to address your question, but I think the primary thing that people need to understand is society teaches us about action. What action do you need to change in order to change your life? And what society is missing in telling you, what they're leaving out and what the secret is that it's not actually your actions that will create results in your life. It's actually the way you think. Every single thing, every action you take is a result of your feelings and a result of the way you think, right? The job that you're in, the clothes that you've bought, the house that you live in, the paint color, the bedspread you've chosen, every single thing in your existence and in your reality started as a thought, right? It began as a thought, right? So when we understand that, then we understand, well, if everything I create in my reality is my beginning with my thoughts, what if I start to have new, big, crazy, scary thoughts, right? And what if I start moving towards those? And what if I entertain those alone instead of, you can't do it, you're going to fail, it's too risky, what will people say, you'll look dumb, like all these things that stop us from taking any type of action toward being our greatest selves, right? And so that's what I would say, is it really truly, like when you say to somebody, you want to lose weight, well, society will tell you, here's the, so and so Subway, Jared Subway guy method, and lose some weight because you just got to eat Subway. And then over here you got jump on the treadmill or do whatever, hot yoga. They're telling you the actions to take, but the person already knows. Everybody knows, if I want to lose weight, I should eat healthier and I should exercise, but they don't do it. And it begins with the thoughts, right? They don't think they can do it. And for example, and I'll use myself, when I met my mentor, Simon Davis, he said to me, and at the time, I want you to keep in mind, I owned one duplex. And he looked at me and he said, I want you to go close 5 multifamily properties in the next 2 months. And I laughed at him. I'm like, how? Dude, I can't do that. You're like, number one, that's not possible. Number two, you're insane. Like maybe I could buy one in the next year. How am I going to buy 5 in 2 months? And he said, you're absolutely right. You absolutely cannot, because you don't believe that you can. And I
Mm,
said, okay. I said, I'm listening. He said, if you want what I have, and he had closed hundreds of doors in 10 months and retired as a helicopter pilot. And I was so taken back and in awe of what he had accomplished. I said, I want to mimic and do exactly, and I'll do exactly what you say. And this goes back to what we talked about before. I was willing.
right.
I was willing, which then gives me the commitment and the drive and built-in motivation, because I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Right? So I was willing. I said, I will do whatever you tell me to do. 4 months later, I closed 5 multifamily properties.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was then that I had this awakening, and I sat there and I thought, I've been limiting myself my whole life. Like, I didn't think I could close 5 multifamily properties in 10 years. And here I went and did it in 4 months just by changing my thinking. it was it was a profound moment that shifted the trajectory of my life. And then I went and bought four more the next 4 months. And
Wow.
and
Are
like
you
within
serious?
within a year I bought $6 million in real estate with none of my own money, which is really crazy. Yeah. So across Canada and the US. So here's the thing. When I say that to people, they go, that's BS. And I go, that's your limiting beliefs. And if somebody had told me that same thing, like to me 2 years ago, like, hey, I just closed 8 multifamily properties in a year, I'd have been like, sure you did, buddy. You know, I wouldn't have believed him. I would have been like, that guy is full of it. There's no way. It's not possible
Right,
because my own limiting beliefs tell me that it's not,
right,
but it certainly is. And I achieved it. And to me, I'll tell you this, to the guy I was a year and a half ago, this is huge. To the person, the human that I am now, I've only just begun.
I knew you were going to say that. Wow.
But I still haven't answered your question, and I'd like to. I
Sure.
know I'm sometimes I'm very long winded,
No,
which works to my favor on podcasts.
that's
um, what you asked, if someone's sitting at home and they're saying, "Okay, I'm in my 9 to 5. How do I get to the next level? How do I begin?" And it always starts with education. It always starts with education. Like there are these ways, and now if real estate's one vehicle. I have a lot of close friends who buy businesses, who start businesses. There's other vehicles and other means and ways to create abundance in this life, right? And it's not just real estate. I just chose real estate because I looked around and I saw all these people with the lifestyle, not the things, but with the lifestyle that I really truly wanted for myself and my family, time freedom and vacations and right richness and time and memories and love and closeness with family versus me on a night shift away from my family. That to me was the lifestyle I wanted, and they were all in real estate. And so I thought I need to start buying real estate and create some wealth. And if you don't know anything about real estate, you need to start educating. We live in an age where there's no excuse. Like, you can go and get basically a master's degree on real estate on YouTube for free.
correct.
All the content is there. And for anyone to say, like, well, I just don't know how this day and age, it's like, do you have an internet connection? Do you have an iPhone? Then you have no excuse to say, I don't know how. Stop watching Netflix and going to Leaf games and getting drunk on the weekend. How about that? How about putting a couple hours a week into your future? Again, it comes down to, are you willing? Because if you're not willing to work on your future, then you'll certainly stay living in your past and present, right?
Correct. That was
Mm-hmm.
like a wake up moment for this entire episode. It felt like you are literally holding my shoulders and shaking it and like, wake up, you have to do this. So thank you for that amazing tip, Matt. That's really incredible. And I feel that's the thing where people are so, especially again, I keep on talking about 9 to 5 because I've experienced it and I know people around me also experience the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're so tired after the 9 to 5 job and then the commute. I don't have a commute, I work from home, but the others, they commute and then family and then other obligations that the minute they sit down, all they want to do is watch Netflix and not do anything. But if
Yeah.
you could do it after being in the law enforcement and working night shifts, then nobody else has an excuse, especially if they're working
Well,
for
this is
free.
this is the thinking, right? This is the limiting beliefs, and it's. I had to learn that we tell ourselves these stories, right? And it's our thinking that controls our stories. So let me tell you, I used to work 16-hour shifts, right, with a commute. So I was gone from home, wouldn't see my kids all day. They'd be in bed by the time I got home. I'm up at 4 a.m. I get home at 7, 8 p.m. I am gone the entire day. Okay. I could tell myself, oh, I just worked 16, 17 hours. I'm exhausted. I deserve to lay on the couch and eat potato chips. Or if I set a goal and I go, I want to own $10 million in real estate in the next 5 years. And I'm going to start educating an hour a day after work, no matter how I feel physically. Well, now you have a goal, right? Now you have attachment to that goal because not because $10 million is impressive, but because $10 million will signify something, right? $10 million will certainly give you cash flow, and it will certainly over the years give you equity, which then creates wealth, which creates abundance, which creates time freedom. So it's what the $10 million represents. It's not about the $10 million. It's about what it gives you, right? I don't care to have $100 million in real estate. I care to have what it provides me, right? And so if you can come into a place in your life where you go, I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired. Now I'm willing to do whatever it takes. And I'm sorry, if you're an adult, you need to really give yourself a wake up call and say, I'm going to stop playing a victim. And even if I worked a 16-hour shift, I'm still going to do an hour of homework every day.
Wow, brutal. That is so spot on and brutal, man. Wow. I think you're like this tough mindset coach who doesn't give any room for error. You're like, you have to do this. But I think that's what people need these days. And
Yeah,
our like millennials and Gen Z, the kind of generation and access to everything that they have at their fingertips, I feel is kind of making us even more lazy and not efficient enough.
agreed.
Yeah, that is.
Well, can I add to that? And I'll say, you can remain as is. Like, that's the alternative. If you don't want to put in an hour a day for your future to one day in the near future not have to work 16-hour shifts, if that's not worth the investment in your time, then you will certainly remain the same. And then I don't want to hear any complaining. If you're unhappy with your life and you do nothing to change it, then you have nothing to complain about. Because you're certainly able. Anyone can sit on their couch and instead of watching Netflix after work, watch a video on how to buy houses for no money on YouTube. Like, that's not hard work. You can sit on a comfortable couch, you can drink a milkshake, you can have every creature comfort in the world, and all you got to do is sit and listen. It's not asking much. And maybe that's just, I mean, that's the toughness in me that was instilled from an early age. I grew up on a beef farm where it's, you work hard and it doesn't matter how you feel until the job's done, you do it. Right. And that's maybe something it's definitely something that was ingrained in me because I have insane work ethic and I always have, and I owe it to that upbringing. But I think it's more than that because it comes down to what it is that you want out of life. Right. And if you want something more, then you have to put in the effort to get it. It's not going to, like, I think that's what people mistake about manifestation is they think they're going to sit on their couch and manifest $1 million. It doesn't work that way. You have to go out and you have to work. You have to do something for it, right? You have to take action. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Sweet. Wow, that was great. Like so many tips and not just tips, but like actionable tips and tips that make you wake up and actually do something. Now I know I'm not going to
Mhm.
watch Netflix tonight for sure.
Well, think of it this way. The things that you're avoiding are the things that are keeping you broke, right? So every time I think of it that way, I'm going, every time I sit and watch Netflix, it could be costing me $1 million, right?
That is so
Because
powerful.
I could be searching for a property. I'll give you an example. I'm putting an offer on $1.5 million property in Georgia right now, and I'm not going to put any of my own money in it. So, like, and I bought a 9 unit with a partner, a 9 unit in South Carolina last week. We closed $1 million property, none of our own money. In August, we closed a sixplex in Georgia, $1 million property, none of our own money. Okay, so like, do you see the theme here? Like, we're
Yeah.
buying $1 million properties over and over with none of our own money. We're just accumulating properties. And over time, those properties increase in value, and we've used none of our own money to buy them. And they cash flow every month. So it's like planting a money tree. This is real. These are the techniques that I learned, that I spent thousands of hours, not only just on YouTube. I started paying for my education. I've paid over six figures, over $100,000 on real estate coaching programs to get into the right rooms, to learn from the right people, so that I could learn how to execute on those things I never knew about. Right. And so someone's sitting at home listening to this and they're going, well, I could never do that. There's your limiting belief. And you're right. And you're right. If you stay there in your limiting beliefs, you will never accomplish it. But I'm no different than anyone else. Right. Like, I grew up in the sticks. I'm a hillbilly. Like, I dropped out of high school. Actually, I had to go back and get my high school degree to then go on to college. But I was a high school dropout. I am no different than any other human on this planet. We are all infinitely capable of creating anything in our lives, but we have to first believe that it's possible.
True. Wow.
Yeah.
Powerful. So powerful. And I don't know, you say that you don't have motivation and you're not inspired by anything, but it clearly shows that you're super motivated to achieve like the next big thing that's out there. So, with that, my last question to you, Matt, is going to be, what does future look like for Matt Peckman?
This is the best part. I don't know. And I'll tell you why. I, for the first time in my life, have razor clear focus on what it is that I'm aiming to achieve. But in the last year, I had razor clear focus on the goals I wanted to achieve, and I achieved them all. And then I had to set new, bigger goals. And so when I achieve the next set of goals, I don't even really comprehend where the next set is going to be, and then the next set is going to be, and then the next set is going to be, because I now believe and I understand that I have infinite capabilities, right? I am infinitely capable of doing anything, right? If we can create flight and we can climb Everest and we can create the internet, these all began with thoughts, right? If we can put a drone on Mars, we can do anything. There's no limit. So if we stop limiting ourselves and say, okay, what if it's possible? Let me go educate myself and see what happens. And you will be shocked, because my goal for this year is to hit $10 million in real estate. My goal in 5 years is to hit $100 million in real estate. After that, I don't know. Billionaire, anything's possible. And it's not for me. I don't desire to be a billionaire, but I desire to create as much abundance as I can so that I may impact the lives of others.
Very nice.
So the future, I can tell you, holds a lot of abundance, a lot of gratitude and tears, a lot of happiness and fulfillment. And I'm truly blessed and grateful that I, through personal development, through this type of material, was able to find my purpose in life. Right. And so finding my purpose, and I'll share with you, my purpose is not a real estate investor. I know I've talked a lot about real estate on the show today, but my purpose in life is to pour into the lives of others. That's it.
Wow. Beautiful. Beautifully put. Thank you so much, Matt. That was incredible. I'm telling you. I feel like everybody, whoever I've interviewed, especially the cast of The Science of Getting Rich, everyone has different tips, but it all ties back to all the principles that have been mentioned in the movie and in the book. And I learned just different ways and different perspective of looking at things. And to to your point, when you said, if you have an iPhone in 1 hour. You have no excuses. Dr. Emily Letran told the exact same thing. The exact same thing. And she's like, you have this in your hands and you guys cannot complain about it. Just go Google things or learn it
Hmm.
somewhere. So yeah, that is incredible. Thank you, Matt. I think you're really amazing, and it clearly shows the amount of motivation and everything that you have and that zeal. So, thank you so much for sharing all your tips with us. And I congratulate you again for the movie and good luck for the
Thank
future.
you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I have to correct you though. I'm really not amazing. I am just on a path to be my best self. And you are amazing. Every single human on this planet is amazing because we are all created uniquely and perfectly. And within us we have so much potential. We just have to believe it and reach inside and pull it out. And it starts with changing those limiting beliefs, right?
Yep, perfect. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Matt, for being on our show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Yep. Didn't I tell you that this is going to be an action packed, full of tips and motivating episode? Well, there you go. I definitely hope you learned a thing or two from this. I know I definitely did. And let me know if you have any suggestion, thoughts, and comments. And until then, don't forget to keep growing, keep glowing, and be yourself. This is your host, Shikha Singh, signing off. Bye bye.